after years of not hearing anything back from EDP 445 now has a documentary released about him. A couple years ago, there were some rumors. There were people speculating where this guy's career would end up. There have been people that have spotted him in public. There have been rumblings about and evidence of him coming back online under some burner account, which he did like put his actual title in that. So I don't know why he thought that would just let it slide and he wouldn't go undetected. But man, since my last EDP video, it's been a fat minute. I'm not gonna lie, pun intended, because at least from what I remember, when EDP when he got accused, I remember the accusations. People in the YouTube community, there's only a handful of people that actually pointed it out and that has some evidence. Now, after I think it was the Chet Goldstein video, and I remember the teaser, I'm like, yeah, man, this is a guy who needs not only the electric chair, but he needs some type of psychotherapy, which I think he went through in like the doc and what we figured out. But this guy just does not need to be around not only children, but people, animals, a high populated area with civilians. He just needs to be around, like, in the middle of nowhere. Because I'm saying this personally, I do not think EDP should even be alive, man. Like, to be honest with y'all. If you are a child, predator, if you are a PDF file, you deserve to get, hung or lynched. But with him specifically, the sad part is there are still people that still support him, and there are still people that think it's normal. And this is kind of what I expected. I mean, this is America after all, where you could get away with a lot of crimes if you got the right audience. People will not care about whatever you do because you're seen as a god to them. You're seen as somebody that's invincible because you have a following, And you can say that about whatever, whomever, But to give my personal view on the documentary, or just the doc itself, like, let's actually look into what EDP has been constructing, or Mike Klum has been constructing, filming, editing, and revising for these past 2 years, man. This is something so that EDP can put his name out there again and just be like, hey guys, remember me? I'm trying to, get some views with this. And at least when I checked the video yesterday, when I watched it, it sat about 1.2 mil. So already it's generated a lot of buzz, and it's something that it's like we're giving EDP back the attention, and especially with a content creator like him that used to be on YouTube, attention is all he needs. Attention is all that matters. Because attention equals views, views equal profit, profit equal success. But, you know, we first start off with EDP talking about his childhood, talking about how I grew up watching wrestling, how I loved wrestling, and that one of the wrestlers he idolized or was his favorite was the game Triple H. And somebody like EDP, you know, this would make a lot of sense because if you watch wrestling like I did in the past, you know, he said it himself, Triple H would do anything and everything to, you know, get on top, stab you in the back. And he says it blatantly, like right in your face, you know. So that's one thing that I'll give him credit for. I'm talking about Triple H, like the character. I'll give him credit for that, you know. And when you start to analyze the characteristics of Triple H, EDP, this is like the building blocks of sort of who he is. EDP, because he likes villains, he's gonna paint himself as one of, if not the most over the top, heartless, fake wannabe tough guy. Oh, you can't touch me as villain. This is who he thinks he is in his head from a mental standpoint, right? EDP, or actually his real name, Bryant Moreland, you know, he sees himself as the villain. Now, they go into part 2 of like sort of the backstory of why he talked to underage girls. And, you know, every incel, every neckbeard, everybody that has been rejected by women, it all sounds like the same thing. And it all is the same thing. Where typical, I used to like this girl, she rejected me, we would talk on and off, she fell for another guy, I beat off to women, I don't talk to women because they think I'm ugly, I don't have any swag, what niggas would say back in 2012, YOLO, like, just all this, like, you know, this is the part where they're trying to make you feel bad about this guy because they're giving you the sob story and they're trying to sell the sob story, right? But my thing is this, man, like, this happens to every man, dog. Everybody has been rejected. Hell, I've been rejected by attractive women. But you don't see me making videos. You don't see me bashing women. You don't see me on a press run talking about, oh, that girl from high school did me bad. Let me just, like, tarnish her name. It's like, bro, at least for me, compared to EDP has been out of high school longer than I have. I'm about almost 7 years since I've graduated high school. This nigga's been out of high school for almost like 18 to almost 20 years. Like, if not 20 years. But still complaining. Like that one girl he said in like the doc, you just giving her free publicity, man. You're just giving her free attention. You know, whatever that girl's name was, I think Marissa or whatever, I don't know. But it's like, wherever she is, you just gave her X amount of, attention to where some people are going to look at that doc and then look at her and be like, oh, well, you started this whole mess of this man, XYZ. And when he started making his channel, like his name, I'm not gonna lie, like when I first seen him, I'm like, all right, this is funny. Like, this is something that is creative to an extent. His rants are legendary. Like, when my first video, I had a somewhat of a style of rants to where I just said what was on my mind at the time. But I didn't keep that format, EDP, his whole thing is, oh, I worked at Walmart. I never had sex. I beat off. Like, he had a video titled, I stole bras out of the laundromat and I beat off. Like, bro, like, what is wrong with you, my nigga? Like, and this is where he started to get famous. Your bread and butter, I guess, however people want to call it, the way he got famous was literally just talking shit about the Eagles, him and his dad, Chipotle, beating off, and hanging out with his friend Felipe, I think, if I remember. And, at least when he got, like, my bad, the sun's in my eye. At least when he got, like, popular, when he started making, like, videos and stuff, and then he started to blow up, I'm like, this is a nigga that not only is funny, but in a different type of way he's expressing himself. And this is what I thought at the time, before I found out he was a PDF file. And once he started getting more success, at that time, before the allegations came out or whatever, I'm like, man, you got the attention, you got the money, you got the fame, you got the status. Get an escort. Get some ass. Not only that, you have the money, you have the, I think he had just bought a house or something. Like, he started to go places. And through all of that success, the nigga decided to get a brand new phone or whatever and started to call up a sex line. You have got to be the dumbest. That has to be the most down bash anybody could ever do in your life, man. Because if niggas have to resort to that, hey, man, you might as well just beat off, man. Like, because that's, damn. Like, that's like the trenches right there, man. Like, and then I think a little bit later, the allegations came out and there was starting to become rumblings of EDP associating himself with, I think a streamer, or no, EDP started associating himself with some Instagram user at the time, but I think a few people said it was an underage girl, but a lot of people, at least in the community of YouTube, did not really point it out. It was only maybe like 2 to 3 people at most. But once the video came out, and once like the clip of him getting like exposed, I'm like, yeah, maybe this guy isn't as like cool as I thought he was, And I never thought EDP really I never thought of EDP as somebody that even get bitches, like, to be honest with you. Because, bro, let's be honest, man. What woman would want to go out with EDP, man? Unless he like put his money out there like that, no woman would want to go out with EDP. Sure as hell not now. After all these allegations came out, just the way EDP conducts himself, the way he like comes across as always trying to act like a tough guy and it's like, bro, like, what woman would want to go out with you, man? Like, and it's just like, now the documentary itself with I think it was a 13 or 16-year-old girl, like, man, my actual opinion about the whole doc, just as a doc, right? I think it's just something that, like I said, EDP wants to get some attention. He wants to get his name back out there, whether it's good or bad attention. And EDP he thinks if I'm in the algorithm that I could make it. And, he's not wrong with that. But people aren't going to automatically assume that just because you have a documentary that you're fucking innocent. That's not how what's the word? That's not how shaming somebody works, as some might say. Because once we've actually seen the evidence and in the video itself, everything was already there. And, it's kind of like the case says itself. And, this is kind of like the second part of the video where I talk about the case itself and overall the sting operation. Like Chris Hansen said, and I'm going to get to him in a second, it was sloppy because, first and foremost, the actual people that conducted that sting operation, man, because it's already out on YouTube and because y'all didn't go to the authorities, well, I don't know if y'all did, but you guys decided to take the case on itself. And then not only that, the way in which you guys did it, the result of that is basically where we're at today, where even after all the evidence has been shown and proven, EDP is still free. Why? Because it was handled poorly. Even with Gideon and I think Steve, Sleek or whatever his name is, like, to me that's even worse than what, I'm not even gonna say his name, but that one guy, you know, and that other short dude with the ski mask or shiesty or whatever. That sting operation, you know, automatically the authorities are not gonna believe y'all because it's deemed as, the evidence, right, is deemed as, oh, she, the decoy, or I think the girl or whatever, right, that messaged EDP first. And usually, from my knowledge, if EDP were to message her first, uh, then he would now be in jail. But because they were the first ones to, I guess, attack, or first ones to reach out, I guess to, this is like, I guess, according to California law, and you can fact check me on this in the comments, but because of that, that's when they said, okay, yeah, EDP is not guilty. So because they messaged him first, we're not going to see him as, I guess, a viable threat, and we're just going to deny the case. And so that was kind of just like, I haven't looked back at that actual like video of EDP getting caught, but that video itself, man, it's kind of like, it rubs a lot of people the wrong way because you have both people in the wrong, you know. Not saying EDP is innocent because he's guilty as hell. He still committed a crime. But the actual sting operation, the people in that video and editing it and all that stuff, yeah, man, like, y'all are equally as guilty, you know. Like Gideon's whole shit, you know, man, like, and that's my thing too. Like, going back to that, the girl, right? To me, she kind of seems like, should I believe her? Should I not believe her? Is this like the stuff she said about Gideon in the doc? Is it viable? Is it not viable? I don't know, man, because even like in the doc, when they gave out a few reasons why she didn't, like, I guess, believe Gideon, you know, man, there's some valid reasons. So, you know, like, you know, and then there's Chris Hansen, who was the only person of reason in this entire documentary, because he pointed out, he said literally, like, if I did this operation, your ass would be behind bars. And that's why, like, if y'all remember, like, back in the day, you know, when you were a kid, remember when adults would say, leave it to the professionals. Like, that statement right there could not be more applied to this right here, this doc, right? Leave it to the professionals. Because Chris Hansen has a team. He has actual, like, cameramen who actually know how to work a video, editing and everything like that. And, you know, they could legally prosecute EDP to the point where if Chris Hansen were to do it, it would actually make more effing sense than two YouTubers that don't even have viable credibility, let alone on like between any predator catchers. Like, y'all are just a channel. And I'm talking about both channels. I'm not singling anybody out. I'm talking about both channels. And when we get to the part about EDP, like kind of after that, it's like they're trying to get the audience to gain more sympathy towards him. And they show what he's been up to lately, who's in his life, like everything to where his like his medical like history and just his like his health and everything like that. And it's like, man, this guy is really messed up, man. And then when they showed the part about therapy, this guy has a lot of like screws loose, you know. Whenever people like EDP are just amongst the public, this is why, man, I don't really be going out to like huge gatherings or whatever. Because actually think about this. Let's say there's like hundreds of thousands of people out there, right? At an event or whatever. And there's children. Let's say a good 5 to 10% of people in that event or crowd or whatever, they're PDF files, man. A lot of these people come out where there's a lot of kids. And I was even surprised to see a kid in the documentary on the bed with ED. Like, you know, man, what are we doing, man? Like, but I think this is just, like I said, a whole ruse. I think it's something to where EDP wants to get more attention. And for damn sure, it's to put his name back out there. You know, AI girlfriend, real life girlfriend, the therapy, which it's said he's already like ended it. So it's like, if he himself wanted to get some help and he just declines it, it's like, man, what more can people do? You just gotta end it from there. Like, I'm not being sympathetic or anything towards this guy. I think, you know, he should just and call it a day. Because you have your health. You only have like that one friend, and I don't know if that's his actual friend. I think that's just a paid actor. Even his girlfriend, who he broke up with, by the way, like his first actual girlfriend he broke up with. Relationship didn't last. Never had sex, which I'm not surprised. That's a paid actor. Like, what are we doing here? And then his whole like where he thinks like he is in life currently. Like, bro, this is a nigga that said twice a week, I have dreams of killing somebody. Like, we do not need to have somebody alive saying this to people. You know? And I'm just like, you know, man, like my final thoughts, because I want to wrap this up. EDP, these are my actual final thoughts. You know, man, I think time is ticking. Whether that's going to jail, or whether that's even counting down your last days, man. I know for a fact every night he goes to sleep, he has to have some regret of what he's done. 2 to 3 years after the incident, he's still trying to play tough guy. He's still trying to put out, oh, well, I like having, relations with girls under 17, 16. And it's like, bro, and you still don't admit to this. It's like, man, get him out of here. With him using God as an excuse, but like I said, man, I think EDP is doing this because, he's trying to get money. This is his last attempt, man. Because if something happens to him after this, I think he just wants to put his doc out there to be like, well, guys, we had a good run. And that's it. So I know this video is a little bit long, but I just had to give my thoughts on this nigga, because it's been about almost 4 years now. Actually over that. And even to see the trailer of this, I was kind of surprised. I'm like, EDP back again? Something about to happen, man. Something about to happen, man. If the ending, of the documentary doesn't say anything to you, and this is his own documentary, if you've seen it, where it's like he's running in his Eagles gear because he loves that team to death towards what looks like a kitchen's room, but it's a white bright light where the FBI is literally chasing his ass. Is this foreshadowing? I don't know. Does he know shit's about to go down? Probably. Is he a wanted man in the United States of America amongst niggas that need to light his ass up? You're damn right. But I'm gonna see y'all niggas later, man. May God watch out for people,